Hey bandwidths and baseball mitts. I'm feeling like it might be time for a new theme song on this show. If anyone wants to write one, send it to me. In the meantime, everybody, my name is Jon, and welcome to ADITW, a day in the Word, the internet's favorite Bible study. Jon, how could you? When does the madness stop? Yes, if you have read ahead to Nehemiah chapter 11, then you know that yet again in this chapter we find another one of those long lists that we love so much. So many numbers. I simply cannot read another Hebrew name. Not being racist, just I can't do it. Not to worry though, because in today's study, I just want you to focus on two very simple verses for me. So if you can stomach it, please read for me Nehemiah chapter 11, verses 1 through 2. So the wall at Jerusalem has been rebuilt. The people have sealed their covenant with God, and now all that's left to do is for everybody to move on in. This is like the climax of Extreme Makeover Bible Edition. Okay, Israel, are you ready to see your fixer-upper? And after years of exile and weeks of back-breaking work to rebuild the wall, you would expect God's people to be chomping at the bit to get back into the holy city, right? However, in verse 1, we actually see that the opposite is true. No one wants to go live there. In fact, the people are casting lots to see who has to go live in Jerusalem. And whenever somebody actually volunteers to go live in God's city, the people are like, wow, you're a better person than I, dude. Good luck. Now, obviously, this is a really confusing reaction from God's people. And scholars believe that there is one of three reasons for this sort of apathetic attitude. Three reasons why the people of Jerusalem didn't want to live in Jerusalem. Reason number one is because they were too sinful. Or at least they felt like they were too sinful. As we've discovered, Jerusalem was God's chosen city. It was where God's Spirit dwelled. And this meant that those who lived there were expected to live righteously, to keep a high moral standard. And so it's actually possible that even though the people have made a new covenant with their God, they're still a little hesitant about leaving their own ways, so they would rather just stay in the country. Just keep a little distance between them and God. Good thing we never do that. Am I right? And the second possible reason is because they were too afraid. With this once very powerful city recently being rebuilt, there was no doubt that Jerusalem had a big old target on its back. There would most definitely be attacks from many foreign nations trying to retake that city on a hill. And if you don't live in Jerusalem, then you don't really have to deal with the attacks. And the third possible reason why the people may not have wanted to live in Jerusalem is because they were too selfish. Being a new, or at least recently re-established city meant that Jerusalem was not yet a booming place of business or commerce. It was not a trading city, and because of this, there was not much to be gained from a worldly possession or wealth standpoint by moving there. Perhaps some of the people subscribed to the "what's in it for me" mindset. Regardless of the reason for avoiding Jerusalem, the hesitancy of God's people over 2,000 years ago begs us to ask a question of ourselves today. And that question is, am I willing to do whatever it takes to get close to God? Am I willing to renounce my own selfish desires, whether it be living my own way, or achieving worldly gain, or even personal safety? Am I willing to renounce those selfish desires in order to draw near to God? If these Hebrew people wanted to be close to their God, then they were going to have to drop their excuses. And the same is true for us today. The place of honor is usually also the place of danger. Oftentimes, we must set aside worldly gain in order to reap eternal rewards. And if we desire to move forward into a new life with God, then we will also have to leave some old behaviors behind as well. And so really the question that we are left with is God worth it? I think so. Hey friends, thank you for watching this episode of ADITW. I hope you enjoyed it. As I mentioned at the beginning, I really am serious about getting a new theme song. It's almost been 2 years that we've been doing this show, and it might be time to upgrade that song a little bit. I just chose it randomly a couple years ago, and so if any of you out there write music or are interested in submitting one, just create it and then send it to my email, which is in the description. Anyway, that's all I have for you. Make sure you all subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Instagram at Jon Jorgenson. Make sure to watch ADITW every single Wednesday. It will be in your feed. That's all I have for you. I love you all. Keep being awesome.